Well, hello everyone. Can you hear me okay? If not, let me chuck a gain on here real quick. Up that a few decibels, yeah? So that looks pretty good. Maybe a little loud. So it's got a 5 times boost on it, and it's just at 100% gain. So, this program is Audionodes. And I'm a little addicted to this because I came from Substance Designer and programs like Quad Spinner Gaia, where everything is procedural and everything is node based. So, what am I going to do with this particular video? Well, I'm going to start you off with a little bit of an introduction. Everything that you can think of in audio processing here is a node because this is built on the Web Audio API, and individual things are called nodes. So perhaps a convolver, a reverb effect is a node, or a multiply is a node, or an output or an input is a node, or a piano roll is a node. Everything is a node. So let's have a look at something that we can start off with. Let's take a look at the out-of-the-box MIDI keyboard. We've got this MIDI keyboard right here. Now, it doesn't do shit. Look at that. So it's green, and I've got this blue line over here. So what does this mean? Green basically means this is a MIDI connection. This connection will output MIDI data, which in its current iteration are discrete packets of start and stop events. So something that might take MIDI input would be, for example, an oscillator synth, which is a default custom node, and I'm going to add that to my output signal right here. Now you can hear both, except I can't hear it. So I'm going to duplicate this audio destination, and I'm going to send that to my headphones. That sounds not bad. Now, just to make sure that you guys can hear me properly when I play things, I'm going to add a compressor. And I am going to route this compressor here, and I'm going to sidechain it with my own voice. So if I hold this down, my voice hopefully should compress that signal. Will compress that signal. Something like that. So that's pretty interesting. So when I right click and I come up, you have all of these different categories for nodes: audio sources, audio effects, melody sources, melody processors, control lines, params, inputs, outputs, analyzers, math, and utilities. When I open these up, you can see these little icons here. These are custom nodes that you can build out of other parts. You can see I've got more custom nodes than actual default nodes. That's because I've spent a long time in this program. So we've got a bunch of melody processors that work exclusively on the MIDI connections here. Control lines are slightly different than blue. So blue is basically audio signals. You think of these as waves with a positive and negative sign that you want to be able to output and manipulate. But we also have control signals. So if I add an LFO, you can see this is orange. And the reason why this is orange is because, let's say I want to... What shall I modulate? Maybe I'll add some distortion to my voice. Actually, no, let's get a phaser. Let's add a phaser to my voice right here. Chuck that on right there. And I'm going to have the LFO modulate the... Let's say the depth. So you might, how deep can I make this? Let's go up to 30. Reduce it down a bit. Seems like it's way too high. I'm not sure what the maximum value here is. Yay! Yeah. So you can see what's happening. I have these nodes that I can plug into each other. And if I go in here to edit patch, this is what the inside of that looks like. So this is what a custom node is. It has an audio input, it has an audio output, and it has a bunch of nodes that are sort of first order nodes, like this all pass filter. You can't subdivide this. This is factory built. This rate, this is a knob. We've got depth, another knob which is being modulated, and that depth knob is being modulated by this LFO here. And I'm going to take that off because I'm pretty sure that's annoying for you guys. So that's a control parameter. Control parameters are pretty useful and to think about separately because they can be thought of as just pure math. So if I go down to my math nodes, I have like add, multiply, they're my basic ones, and built out of add and multiply are subtract and divide. I've got some arithmetic here, and see, you can see divide. All that is 1 divided by x, and send that into multiply node, and that's basically like creating a division by multiplying it by the inverse. So that's pretty easy. So if I plug these into each other, and let's say I have a constant value, I can add 1 to 1, divide it by itself, which should give me 1 again. So let's not do that. Let's instead divide it by the LFO. And let's set the max to 5, out min to 2. And you can see that it's performing that operation. Now these lines here are dotted and broken. What that means is that they're constantly folded. So anything in this chain is not actively contributing to your CPU usage. These are this here up until this value is rendered as a single variable, which just happens to be the number 2. So what's coming in of here is just a constant 2, and this here is an actual signal which is changing over time. This is important because the more of these constant values that you have in your patch, the more efficient it's going to be. If you have everything as like this continuous blue signal, it's going to be a lot less efficient. And you can see, like, I'm already running it to about 20% with this small patch because I've got OBS running on my shitty little laptop, and it's not handling it very well. So what have I actually managed to build with this thing? One of my favorite patches is the harmonic cascade. Because why I like this particular patch is because when I play it, I can't hear it.
But you can see my CPU is going way, way up.
Yeah, it's not playing anymore because I've hit max.
So the reason why it's hit max is because it's this thing inside it called a
Poly subpatch, and the poly subpatch creates a bunch of different voices. I have created about 10 voices, and they're all being activated at the same time by this harmonizer node, which is creating percentiles of velocity. There you go.
So that's why it takes so much, is because it is producing 10 different voices, and each one of those voices is band passing and then delaying the signal by a certain amount, controlled by that velocity. And that velocity is being output from my MIDI keyboard. But that's okay. Just because this particular thing is very inefficient doesn't mean that we can't use it somewhere else. So there's this really cool thing called a sampler node, which is my favorite. Not the sampler, I want the custom sampler. Oh, what's it called? Sampler? I have lots of these because it is my favorite. Audio file sampler. Right here. Out of this, you can connect an audio file param. Plug that in there. Open a local file. And then I might just have like my harmonic cascade in there.
Now, I need a time to be able to control this because this takes a time input. So I'm going to add a timer right there. So I add that timer, and then once I trigger it with my MIDI keyboard input, you can hear.
So now I've deleted that harmonic cascade, and I've got a little bit of my CPU back, which is good. That's what I want. So all it's doing is it's playing through this audio file param using the data from this timer, and I can manipulate that however I want. For example, if I add my
Wavetable 2 custom node, which I built out of all of these different little parts, you can see that it's got an audio file param. It's got position, which I've separated into about 128 distinct steps. And I play that because this has loaded the same file, so harmonic cascade 6. I plug that in here, plug that in there. It's a little bit on the quieter side, so let me increase the gain a bit.
So, yeah, as you can see, you can build
More complicated stuff out of very basic building blocks. It's synth Lego. It's great. It's got a very simple interface. If I wanted to add a timeline to this, so you're wondering where that is, all I have to do is add a piano roll. And the piano roll adds a track to the timeline. I can go in and edit it and create, like, I don't know, a chord. D2, F2. Make it a tritone chord into maybe, I don't know, my chord progressions. Whatever, I'll just duplicate it and then just like go down. Lol. So I play that. I can slice it here, chop it up, duplicate it, create another copy, and it'll just repeat those. God, that sounds awful. And it sounds awful because 2 tritones in succession does sound awful. But, so, yeah, you can make some stuff like that. I'll show you some other things. So, where's my big, wide pad? Bump, bump. Other things that I've built out of much smaller ones. Yeah, so as you can see, that also hits my maximum processing load because OBS can't handle this program. Or at least my laptop can't handle OBS this plus all of the other stuff I'm running, like VLC and Spotify and whatever. There's also gurgles. Actually, if you wanted to see what that looked like on the inside, we'll go to Edit Patch, and you can see it's a few things. It's a multi-band compressor that I put together, which is just 3 compressors in a trench coat. It's a chorus node, which has like a bunch of voices connected to it. And my industrial distortion node, which is another poly sub patch, which basically is just an oscillator running through a feedback loop, clamping itself, and then you can see what's happening. Multi-band compressor right there. What else did I make? Gurgles, audio source, right here. Actually, no, I don't want that one. That's way too loud. Gurgles. This fella. I like this guy. And that became this patch, I think.
Which plays of its own accord, I think. It's probably not even going to start playing. Oh, look, it is playing, it's just not outputting anything. Oh, well, that's a shame. Respace.
This one was simple to set up. It was only a couple of oscillators. Nothing particularly exciting there. So if I get rid of all of this, maybe I can go to my snippets browser and find you like a nice little... Here it is.
It will not even play. I am sorry. It will not even play this. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this terrible demo. I don't think I've sold it very well. But, you know, give it a shot. I'll put this patch on the YouTube description if I ever upload it, so that you can play with it in the browser. See ya.